I've been playing dozens of VR sports games over the last few years on Quest 3 and Quest 2. I'm a big fan of sports games in VR. It's one of my favourite genres of game to play. I'm going to share some of my absolute favourites, some of the best VR sports games out there that you should definitely check out. I'm also going to discuss why they're so good, what features of these games make them so good, and why some other sports games miss the mark for one reason or another.
Let's start by talking about 11 table tennis. I've been playing 11 table tennis for the last few years, and I've no doubt that it's one of the most accurate VR sports simulations I've ever tried. Table tennis is perfectly suited to VR, as you can move and take shots just like you would in real life. The weight and grip of your VR controllers are also quite similar to table tennis paddles, providing tactile feedback that makes the experience feel even more realistic. I initially played 11 table tennis on Quest 2, where the exceptionally realistic gameplay impressed me immensely. The physics and controls perfectly mimic the real-life sport, and I struggle to see how it could feel any closer to the real thing. Whilst playing in VR is great, I can now actually play in mixed reality on Quest 3, by placing a virtual table tennis table in the middle of my real room. This is really cool and quite surreal, as I can see my room exactly as it is in real life, but there's a virtual table tennis table sitting in the middle of it, so I can play and not worry about bumping into real furniture or hitting walls as I lunge for a difficult shot. Whilst the graphics won't win any awards, the gameplay is rock solid, and I'm able to play table tennis using exactly the same movements that I would in real life. Much like the real sport, it's immensely satisfying to see yourself progress slowly over time, becoming more competent with a range of shots and taking on increasingly difficult AI and real human opponents. I think this is what I love about a lot of VR sports games. It's that shallow learning curve where you see slow, steady, incremental progress, coming back every day and feeling that you've improved at it. There's a range of game modes in 11 table tennis that allow you to practice specific shot types, take part in mini games, and improve all aspects of your game. You can play against computer opponents of increasing difficulty or challenge yourself against other people in multiplayer matches. I've spoken at length to a number of pretty competent real-life table tennis players who can attest to the accuracy of the controls and the physics. There are slight limitations to the accuracy of some shots, particularly in highly competitive play, but overall this is a hugely impressive experience. I've spent many hours playing 11 table tennis, and the core gameplay is just so solid that I keep coming back. In fact, it's always one of the first games that I let people who are new to VR try out because I know they won't be disappointed. Let's move on to Golf Plus. Being an enthusiastic golfer in real life, I am delighted that Golf Plus is such an enjoyable experience. It's by far the best VR golf game I've ever played, and I've literally put hundreds of hours into this one. Golf Plus allows you to play a rapidly growing number of real-world and fictional golf courses, as well as practice your game in a variety of ways. Whether you want to hit balls at the range, practice chipping, bunker shots, approach play, or head to a Topgolf centre to enjoy the more social side of golf, you can do all of these things in Golf Plus. Golf Plus is the official VR golf game of the PGA Tour, and as a result, there are a rapidly growing number of real-world golf courses that you can play on. From the Jack Nicklaus designed Valhalla Golf Course, the Ocean Course at Kiowa Island, Wolf Creek Golf Club, the iconic TPC Sawgrass, you can play around the courses that golf fans have been watching the pros play on for years. My personal favourite is TPC Sawgrass, and I've played more than 100 rounds of this course. I'm still not as good as the pros, but I'm gonna keep trying. There are several fictional courses that come with the base game, plus one or two real-life courses, but you will need to purchase most of the real-world courses as downloadable content, or you can sign up for the Golf Plus Pass to gain access to them all. The graphics in Golf Plus are simplistic, but there is an appealing art style, and whilst there is a big improvement in the visuals on Quest 3, it's still a long way off the quality that you'll find on console and PC golf games. Although the graphics aren't world class, the gameplay is incredibly good, and I think it's as close as you can get to real golf within the limitations of the hardware. Whilst the swing physics and controls were pretty good in the past, a huge update that coincided with the launch of the MetaQuest 3 has seen a massive improvement in the realism of Golf Plus. I can now make shots just like I do in real life, and my real-world golfing ability translates pretty well into the game. The big downside is that a VR controller doesn't feel much like a golf club, but this can be solved by using a golf club controller attachment. These basically consist of a real golf club handle that you can grip just like a golf club, and then your VR controller attaches to this. This adds a bit of weight and makes the whole thing feel much more realistic. The things that make Golf Plus such a good VR sports game are that the controls very closely mimic the real-life movements that you use to swing your club, and the physics within the game make your shots behave realistically as the ball flies through the air and interacts with the different types of terrain. This is enough to make me feel like I'm really playing golf, hitting both good and bad shots for similar reasons that I do in real life. If you've got any interest in golf at all, Golf Plus is an awesome VR sports game to pick up. It's not perfect by any means, but it's getting better all the time. The base game is very affordable, and there are so many features within it to keep you entertained. Let's move on to the thrill of the fight. If you're looking for a game to really get your heart rate up, the thrill of the fight is a terrific option. This VR boxing game focuses on authenticity and does a wonderful job of providing a realistic boxing experience. You've got the choice between hitting the gym to practice with the speed bag, heavy bag, dummy, or other training aids, or going up against a series of increasingly challenging AI opponents to test your skills. You'll need a reasonably large play area to safely enjoy the thrill of the fight, as you will be moving quickly and punching hard, so it's important to be well clear of any obstacles. The gameplay feels really authentic, with satisfying punching mechanics and opponents who behave in realistic ways. Controller force feedback from shots gives a feeling of weight to your shots, whilst dodging and blocking incoming punches feels satisfying. Much like real boxing, the thrill of the fight is an incredible workout, and you're unlikely to be able to play for more than 20 to 30 minutes at a time without taking a break. Thrill of the Fight is my go-to game when I want to have a workout in VR. It feels incredible, and you're exercising while having fun. The one downside here is that it's a single-player experience only. But don't let this put you off. The Thrill of the Fight is one of the best VR sports games available, and it's usually on sale for less than $10, so don't hesitate to pick it up. Moving on to Walkabout Mini Golf VR. Walkabout Mini Golf is an essential purchase for anyone who enjoys VR sports games. The controls and physics in this game make it feel so realistic that it's easy to forget you're playing a VR game and not actually out enjoying a round of mini golf. There's an increasingly large number of paid DLC courses, so you're very unlikely to get bored playing this game. You can play single player or multiplayer, and there's a whole series of collectibles to keep you interested and playing again and again. Walkabout Mini Golf has 1-to-1 swing physics, which means you swing your virtual club just like you would in real life, making the gameplay feel extremely realistic. Tactile feedback from your controller gives you a real sense of having hit a real golf ball, making each shot feel satisfying. As someone who enjoys playing golf in real life, I've been hugely impressed by how similar this game feels to putting a real ball in real life. The graphics are colourful and the art style is really appealing and interesting. The courses are brilliantly designed with plenty of interesting features to ensure that each course keeps your interest while providing a challenge. This is another game that I have spent dozens and dozens of hours playing. It is a brilliant simulation of real mini golf. The controls are fantastic, the physics is amazing, and it's a wonderfully suitable sport to translate well into VR. Let's talk about premium bowling. In common with the last few games, premium bowling is so good due to the faithful recreation of the real-world sport, with physics and controls that are just about as good as they could be. Playing premium bowling really does convince you that you're actually in a bowling alley throwing a bowling ball. As hard as that is to believe, bearing in mind you're not actually holding a bowling ball, and a VR controller feels nothing like a bowling ball. But credit to the developers, because they have created a wonderful simulation of bowling in VR. Premium bowling allows you to play in a range of bowling alleys, and you can use a selection of balls and even adjust the way the lane performs through different oil patterns. Premium bowling has single player and multiplayer game modes, as well as online leaderboards that I found surprisingly addictive. The graphics in premium bowling are very good considering the hardware, really adding to the immersion factor. VR is a great fit for bowling, and premium bowling is undoubtedly the best VR bowling game you can play today, although it can't entirely recreate the weight and feel of holding a bowling ball. This is another game that I've put dozens and dozens of hours into playing, and my ability and skill level has just increased slowly but surely over time, and it keeps me wanting to come back. I'm still mediocre at best, but it's a ton of fun, and the fact that it's such a great simulation of real bowling is just fantastic. The next game I'm going to talk about is first-person tennis. There are a few VR tennis games available on the Quest store. First-person tennis is my favourite because I think it does the best job in terms of recreating the physics of hitting a tennis ball. Tennis is a challenging sport to bring into VR because it's not a stationary sport. Obviously, in real tennis, you're running around the court at high speed, trying to get to each shot that your opponent hits over the net. Now, you can't do this in your VR play area, so first-person tennis clearly has to come up with a different solution to locomotion. And I actually think they do this really well. They've actually got several different options. You can use the thumbsticks to run around the court, or you can actually use the automatic movement option. And what this does is when your opponent hits a shot over the net, the computer or the AI will run your character into the right spot, so all you need to do is concentrate on hitting a good tennis shot. What I love about this game is the fact that I can bring, again, my real tennis game into VR, and as soon as I started playing it, I was able to play to a similar level that I play in real life within just a few minutes. I was able to hit topspin forehands, sliced backhands, serve, volley, just using the same skills that I have when I play real life tennis. I think the developers have done an amazing job. I think this is a game for people who like tennis. It's not necessarily a game that I would recommend for somebody looking for any VR sports game or just the best VR sports game, and they're not necessarily that fussy about the sport. There are drawbacks to first-person tennis in view of the locomotion issues, but everything else about this game is awesome. The next game I'm going to talk about is Black Hole Pool. This is an 8 and 9 ball pool simulator that combines terrific gameplay and physics in an excellent VR pool experience. It's available on the App Lab on the Oculus Store, and it allows you to play pool in practice mode against AI opponents and online against other players. It shines in the same way that many of the other great VR sports games shine. It's a suitable sport to bring into VR because you're not having to move around an awful lot in the real world sport, and the developers have nailed the control system and the physics so that it feels like playing the authentic real life sport. The controls in Black Hole Pool do take a little bit of time to get comfortable with, but I found that after playing a few games I could navigate easily to make the shots that I wanted. The control system feels great, with you positioning your cue behind the cue ball first before locking its position with the trigger, and then using your right hand to perform a cue action just like you would in real life. I've played a number of other pool simulators in VR, but Black Hole Pool is way ahead of the competition with an experience that comes very close to replicating the real world sport. Once again, Black Hole Pool comes highly recommended. If you're a fan of pool, this is the best VR recreation of the sport. If you're just looking for a really good sports simulator in VR, I would probably go with one of the earlier games that I've mentioned, but nonetheless, Black Hole Pool does a lot of things right. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and give this video a like. I would really appreciate it. If you disagree with me or have anything to say about the sports games that I have chosen, please leave it in the comments section below. I hope this video stimulates a bit of debate and I look forward to hearing from you. That pretty much wraps up this video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. It has been a pleasure. Looking forward to the next one already. Take care till then.